Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin by giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and to the apostle of Great Millstone, and enough respect to the brothers out there pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, I just want to do a lesson on the beast and the 10 horns, and Lord willing, this be edifying. Let me share my screen real quick. Now, the beast is twofold, but what I'm going to be doing, which is it talks about, NATO and the EU, and it also talks about, ancient Roman Empire and the nations that were grafted within it. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be focusing on ancient Rome, just so that, if we can use history, right, if we can focus on history and prove that the things in history are right, the things in history prove that the scriptures are right, we can be confident that the things that are yet to come to pass, for example, the downfall of the dragon is surely going to come to pass, because the scriptures is full of prophecies that have already been fulfilled, and you need only to go into history, and history will sort of like be an exposition on the scriptures. So let's begin in Daniel, the 7th chapter, starting from verse 1. It says, "And in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. And he wrote the dream, and he told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea, and the four beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it." Now the beast, is kingdoms. It talks about, it makes that connection in the scriptures as we read further on down, right? The beast shall be fourth kingdom. So we really don't, it's not, when we associate the beast with kingdoms, we're not really pulling that logic out of thin air. It's based in the scriptures. But just so we don't have to read the whole scriptures, the whole chapter, I'm just gonna break it down real simply, and I'll make the connections in Revelations. So the first beast was like a lion and had eagle's wings. This was the Assyrian Empire. And I beheld till the wings were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. So the kingdom was changed from what it is into something entirely new. This was when the Assyrian kingdom fell, and the Babylonian Empire was established. And the man, right, who established that kingdom, if I'm not mistaken, is Nabopolassar, right? Let me just get it right now. Of the yeah, Nabopolassar. So he was the first. He was the first king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire when he took down the Assyrian king. And as a commander, he was so, um, I guess, beloved among his people i- in his kingdom, that he was set up as a king over that empire. It says, "And I beheld another beast, a second like unto a bear, and it raised itself up on one side, and had three ribs in its mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise and devour much flesh." This is when the Persians came into power, right? It raised itself on one side. It, the Persian Empire is commonly referred to as the Medo-Persian Empire, because it was essentially two people, but the Persians were dominant. You know, even though it was these two people who formed that empire, the Persians were dominant. So that was the side that was raised higher than the other side. And the three ribs in its mouth was the nations that it had to, tear apart in order to establish itself as the superpower in the region, and then that was Egypt, Lydia, and and Babylon. So and it says, "Arise and devour much flesh." Naturally, that's what an empire does. It it has to secure its dominance and subjugate everyone around it that it can and make it a vassal. It says, "After this I beheld, lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl, and the beast also had four heads, and dominion was given it." And this was the Grecian Empire. Once it was established by Alexander the Great, there was a lot of skirmishes amongst his general, and four of his general came up on top, and they shared the kingdom among themselves. And that was the Ptolemaic dynasty, the Seleucid dynasty, the um, the, uh, the general Cassandra also set himself up a dynasty, and what is it? I believe Lysimachus. You know, so this was what essentially happened to the Grecian Empire until the Romans came in and defeated it and set itself up as the next empire. Because after this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This is when the Romans came into pass. It was very, very strong, and they had great iron teeth because that was their advantage over the nations. They where I guess it was iron. It was iron what they used to make their weapons with, and their chariots and all that. That was how they advanced their military. It devoured and break in pieces, and it stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts. So it really went out conquered the entire world, and it was diverse in the sense of how they governed themselves. They didn't have a monarchy. They didn't have a king. In the beginning, they did, but it became a republic, and then that's how Rome became diverse from all these other nations. It wasn't just one person who rules his entire life, and have his sons and so on and so forth. So it says, "I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn." But before we get into that, let me pull this up. Um, the 10 horns. I also want to get into the 7 heads before I get into the 10 horns. But pretty much the horns also represent kingdoms. And or if I get like I have a precept here, an example would be Jeremiah 48:25. Right? Jeremiah chapter 48, verse 25 says, "The horn of Moab is cut off, and his arm is broken, saith the Lord." Right? The horn of Moab, in other words, the power of Moab. That's the military might of a nation, and it is the military that establishes a nation, that makes a nation what it is. It makes it sovereign. It enforces borders and enforces laws. It establishes a nation. So the horns, it always represents a nation, right? Simple and short. Another example I want to pull up is um, um, let me see. It talks about how the horns have scattered Israel. Um, Right. This is Zechariah chapter 1, verse 21. It says, Then said I, what come these things to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah. So the horns represents the nations, all right? A nation which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come from to freedom, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horns over the land of Judah, to scatter it. So, you know, further on, we're going to come across the horns and we're going to associate it with kingdoms, right? Nation, government, and that logic, just like that logic is not out of thin air. It's based on something, just like the beast. I explained with the beast. So I considered the horns. It says it had 10 horns, and it's interesting how when the beast has done, all its breaking in pieces and devouring, it had 10 horns, and these are the 10 kingdoms that sprung forth out of I guess, the ruins of the Roman Empire. They were the ones that were able to secure, um, you know, for themselves a kingdom when the Roman kingdom fell apart. And these were the Vandals, the Alemannis. I have it here, the Herulis, the Anglo-Saxons. Let me get the image, right? The French, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths. And so when you look at the when you try to find a map of these nations, or when you type in um, fifth century, right? Fifth century Europe, you're going to find out that these nations will be in weird spots depending on which time period that you have. Each map have these nations in different spots. Some maps have the Anglo-Saxons here, some maps have them over here in Britain. And that's because that's pretty much what was going on in that land. You had these nations, if I can have a better, let me see. There we go. Right, these are the patterns, and these are all of them moving and running around and trying to figure out a spot to secure um, for their kingdom. So if you try to search these nations up, they're going to be all over the place, and so it's kind of difficult to say, these people were here and that. Um, but these were the 10 people that were able to secure for themselves kingdoms when the Romans, at the end of the Roman Empire. All right. So these were the 10 horns. And it says what? Um, and behold, I considered the horns, and there came up among them another little horn, before whom, right, there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. And this was when America was established. Okay. So when this in early Europe, when these nations were first coming into power, they were the horns. But it says that out of these horns there came up another little horn, and this little horn had to establish itself by having three horns plucked up from before it. And this was how America was established. When they came into the new lands, they had to, fight against the French, the England, right, which is also known as Britons, or the Anglo-Saxons, and they had to fight against the Spanish, right, Spain. And that was how America kind of freed itself and became its own. They established the independence, and they established their own country, and they started building off upon it, right, at the Declaration of Independence, and so on and so forth. And America became a horn of its own, a kingdom, right? So it says that's why it says from these, right? It says among them. So let's and then when this horn does whatever it is that it has to do, when America or Babylon does whatever it's appointed to do, the scripture says that what the thrones are cast down, right? I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and Ancient of Days did sit, whose garments were white as snow, and the hair of his hair like pure wool, his thrones like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. And a stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered before him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. And judgment was set, and the books were open. So this is when Yahweh Bashimashah had to step in and throw down these kingdoms, and the saints or the kingdom of heaven was established. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had the dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time, right? Because, when you read the scriptures, it talks about the beast and this nation and that nation, but it always talks about, when it comes to the destruction of the beast, it only focuses on the Edomite portion of the beast. But here in the book of Daniel, it lets us know that the rest of the beasts, they still matter. The only thing is that their dominion was taken away from them, and they are on the back burner, they're in the background until a time comes that they have to what? That they have to answer for all the things that they did unto Israel. So let's see. Right. So these are kingdoms. Now we go into Revelation chapter 12. Starting from verse 1, it says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun," this is talking about Israel, "and the moon under her feet, and upon her crowns of 12 stars, representing the 12 tribes of Israel." It says, "And she being a child," a nation, a country is always referred to as a woman. Zion is always referred to as the Lord's women. You know, it says, "She being a child, she being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, having 7 crowns upon his head." So this is talking about the Roman Empire. When when Yahushua was coming onto the scene, right? When our nation was giving birth to that child, the Son of God, the Anointed One, this devil, right, was in power, and he drew, right, and his tail drew the third parts of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So at this point, Rome, ancient Rome, being in power, right, having the 7 crowns upon his head, which were the nations that were defeated and grafted into the empire. Now Rome had defeated a lot of nations, but these 7 nations, the Gauls, the Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Spain, right, Britannia, Greece, okay, and what's it called? Wait, so the Gauls, the Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Spain, uh, Greece, Britain, and Rome itself, right? So these were the 7 heads of the beast, because the beast simply represents Esau, Edom, right? The beast isn't Rome, and then the 7 heads is all the nations except Rome, right? So these nations, they drew, right, the third part of the stars of heaven, which were the Israelites, and did cast them to earth, and the dragon stood before the woman. So 3 of the 12 stars, as we read here, were the tribes that were left of the kingdom of Israel. That was the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi. Right. So they were under the Roman Empire. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So we being underneath the Roman Empire, Herod the Great, right, being part of the Roman Empire, tried to assassinate Yahushua. And this was the account of that. It says that Israel brought forth a man child, not just Mary, but Israel as a whole. brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. And I believe if in the book of Daniel it talks about this, right? The Son of Man presented. So this is Yahushai. It says, and a woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared unto her. So even, after they couldn't um devour Yahushai, right? They did put Yahushai to death and Yahushai arose, they were still vexing Israel. And to the point where, in 70 AD, they came across Israel and, decimated Israel, and we had to flee into the wilderness, Africa, right? Where she had a place prepared unto her. And we also fled to where we had a place prepared unto us, which is America. Now, don't get the grammar confused. The wilderness is not a place, it's different from the place that's prepared unto us. So you should read it as though the scriptures are saying the woman fled into the wilderness, and she also fled into a place where God had prepared for us, which is Babylon, and we were nourished there. And this is pursuant to Ezekiel, the 17th chapter, and that's also a whole breakdown. But just um, while he took of the seed of the land and planted it in a fruitful field, and he placed it by great waters and set it as a willow tree, and it grew and it became a spreading vine of low stature. Right, so it grew. They took the branch out of its native land. The eagle, right, being Esau, took us from our native land, um, who we are, from where we were, and he placed us in a strange land. But we were nourished. He didn't just throw us out just to die. He utilized us, you know. But when he set us up to live to be part of his system, we were of low stature. We were slaves. We were nothing to him. When he had used us and he had done and he has established his empire, he cast us out. He put us in a project, shooting us in the street, put us in prisons, and we were that vine of low stature. But nevertheless, this was a place where the Most High prepared unto us. We were nourished there for a second, right? For a short while. Um, so we were nourished there for a short while. Right. So the place prepared unto us of God is talking about Babylon, that they should feed her 1,203 score days. And 1,203 score days simply breaks down to 3.5 years. And this time is very, very important. When we come across it, it referred to it differently. It sometimes it calls it 40 and 2 months. Sometimes it terms it a time, right? Let me see if I can get it right now. Right, as concerning the rest of the beast, they had the dominions taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a time. Oh, no, actually, not this one. Um, right. So it says this is concerning Babylon. It says, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, you know, and subdue 3 kings. So this was the establishment of America. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. So the Most High gave this fucking devil the ability to be proud and boast. He gave him the ability to go to the moon. You know, it says, and they shall be. It says, and they shall be given into his hand. The Israelites shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of times. A time is singular, right, which is one, times plural, which is two, and the word n is plus. So 1 + 2 is 3, and dividing of a time, right? Half of one is what, 0.5, 3.5 years. So these are all the dark sayings, the cryptic way that the scriptures, kind of speak to the men of the Lord. This is why a lot of people have the scriptures in their home and they have no clue what it is that the Bible is talking about. It's English, it's comprehensive. They're reading it. They know what the word time is. They know what the word end is, but the Spirit of the Lord is not in them, to understand these subtle things. So let's get back to the same point here. Three. So we previously is 3.5. Over here is what, 1,203 score days. And yep, 1,203 score. A score is 20, right? So 20 times 3 is 60. And once you have it, it's 345, 303.5. All right. But yeah. So let's get to, it says, and then again, so right after this uh, kingdom does whatever it needs to do, right after that 3.5 period, the kingdom of heaven begins to be established. There's a war, right? It says, and there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angel fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels. So the dragon as the Roman Empire, but at this point it's talking about as America or as America, NATO, EU, because the dragon simply represents Esau, Esau infrastructure, Esau and his coalition, Esau's kingdom. And based on the context, you have to decide if it's talking about the ancient Edomite's kingdom or it's talking about the modern Edomite kingdom. And in this context, we're talking about the future, the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven. So it's talking about now. As the dragon is not talking about ancient Babylon, or I mean ancient Rome, but it's talking about America because of the war that's fought in the heavens. Who, at what point does Esau have the ability to fight in the skies? It's at this point, not at any other point in history. It's only at this period. That's the only reason the Most High gave him the knowledge to fly just so this prophecy can be fulfilled. It says, and there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels and prevailed not. So he lost. Neither was their place found anymore in heaven. And it's important that the dragon, like I keep saying, it represents Esau Edom, because you will have Babylon be destroyed before the Babylon, like America, ain't gonna be part of the fight that goes on in heaven because they're going to be destroyed with the nuclear missiles. But the remnants of the Edomites will come up against Yahushua in the air and Michael with Yahushua and the saints, right, and the angels that Yahushua comes with, pursuant to the book of Revelations, which we will get into pretty soon. So at this point, it's talking about the modern times. And prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. Heaven as a how do I say it, as figuratively, they were not high up anymore, right? Like the all that swag that they have now, all that the pride that they have now, the Yahweh Shemeshah is going to take that away from them when he destroys their kingdom. So their place was found no more in heaven as a state, not as the Christians would say. You had Satan used to live in heaven, and he was a choir leader and all that. That's a whole bunch of bullshit. This is where their confusion comes in. All right, it says, and the dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, right? The great dragon, all right, that old serpent called the devil, the deceiver, and Satan, our adversary, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is salvation come. And I believe even uh, oh, let me see. Even how should I said this? Um, right. It says, and he said unto them, I, well, let me just see if I can get more context on this one. And right, let's see. It says, all right, it says, but into whatsoever city ye enter, if they receive you not, go your way into the streets of the same, and say, even the very dust of your city, which cleaveth unto us, we do wipe off against you. Notwithstanding, ye should be sure of this, that the kingdom of God is come nigh unto you. But I say unto you, it shall be tolerable in that day for Sodom than for that city. So, a little bit of context. So now we know that he's referring to the last days, right? It says, he that heareth you heareth me, he that despiseth you despiseth me, and he that despiseth me despiseth him that sent me. It's a tongue twister. It says, and the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And the 70 are, verse 1, after these things the Lord appointed over other 70 also, and sent them two and two, right, before his face into every city and place whithersoever himself comes. So these are the 70 that he has set out, that he sent out to preach. And he told them that the people that don't receive the Spirit or that don't receive the gospel in the last days, this is what's supposed to happen to them. So he speaks about the last days, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan, right? I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. So he fell from the state that he was in. Behold, I give unto you power to tread unto serpents and scorpions, and of all power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt you. Right? So, um, let me see. Oops. Oh, it was right here. So that they should feed 1,203 score days, three and a half, which is pretty much 350 years that we were supposed to be catching hell under Esau without Esau's kingdom going down. Because it's past 350 years. That's why the truth is coming out, and we're still catching hell. But from the time this truth started flourishing is when Esau started going down. That's why Trump is over here talking about make America great. That's why you have these nations out there. There's a lot of contention going on amongst the Edomites in Babylon because they see their kingdom going down, and they're trying everything to the best of their ability to revive their kingdom, but they can't. They keep electing presidents, and this president comes in and say, "Oh, I'm going to try to make this better," but all they can do is just salvage what happens, but they end up making things worse than it was when they came in. And the next president comes in and tries to make the best of a horrible situation, and he makes it worse. And now we have a disaster, and people are just like, F it. Let's just try to, salvage what we can, and eventually Babylon is going to fall. So, so we were in that place for 7. It says, and there was war in heaven. Oh, I already came into this. Um, so once Satan is destroyed, it says, and I heard a loud voice saying, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accuseth them before our God day and night. Because these Edomites, that's all they like to do. Whenever the subject of wickedness comes to pass or comes into discussion, the first person they want to point hands on is Jake. You know, when you talk about thievery, like if you want to talk about robbery, thieves, yeah, Jake robs, but they always want to act like they're not thieves. They act like they've never stolen anything in their life, and they go point hands on on Jake. When we talk about murder, oh, they're gonna point hands on, oh man, we're gonna point hands on Jake. When we talk about lies, oh, we're gonna point hands on Jake. Everything. They always want to make Jake seem bad. Yeah, Jake is wicked, but these men always want the Most High to. They always want to bring out Jake's wickedness and cover their own wickedness. Whenever they discuss among themselves why Jake is in the state that they're in, they never say, "Well, we've done this in generation and this and that." They're not. That's not what they want to talk about. What they want to talk about is, well, black people are what they are, the Hispanics are what they are, the Native Americans are what they are, because they do this upon themselves. They hold themselves back and this, that, and the third. In all these discussions, what they accuse us before the Most High day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. And this is pretty much, we are the catalyst for the destruction of this place. This is why when the Most High set up Jeremiah, right, he said that he was going to set him up. Let me see. Uh, right, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 10. It says, see, I have set thee this day over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down and to build and to plant. Now, it sounds like the Most High is sending Jeremiah out, to start a war, but that's not what he's doing. He sent Jeremiah out to be a prophet, to prophesy. And this is pretty much what every prophet does, in the name of Yahweh Shemeshah. Whatever they prophesy, they are speaking into existence the things that are yet to happen. And the things that are yet to happen does not happen until the prophet does his job. That's there's nothing in history that has happened in the scriptures that a prophet had not had to prophesy about. So we overcame. This is how we overcame. Let me see. I know I had said in the beginning that I was going to focus on the history of the 10 horns, but the Spirit had it to where I went into something else. I was going to go into the history. I may have to save this for another video, but let's continue on. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their life unto death. And this is pretty much what we're doing. We're risking our lives, risking our freedoms. We understand that in the last days, the devil, being filled with wrath, knowing he has but a short time, he will try to quench this truth by taking lives. And the Most High will allow him to do things, to a certain measure, and we're fine with that. If it be the will of Yahweh Shemeshai, so be it. If it be for the glory of Yahweh Shemeshai, so be it. But nevertheless, a Lord willing, we be that number, we be that elect. The Most High, may the Most High put in us the spirit that is willing to serve Him unto death. Because saying you're gonna die is easier said than done. And so all we have to do right now is build up our faith and make peace with Yahweh Shemeshai and pray that on top of being called, we be chosen. And those that are chosen are those that continue on their ministry from start to finish. So may Yahweh Shemeshai put the spirit in us to serve Him, a spirit that's willing to do His will, to serve Him in righteousness and in truth. So it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he has but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. And unto the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into a place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a times from the face of the serpent. Right? Um, let's see. Um, Again, don't get caught up in it, right? The wilderness is different from the place where she's nourished. And once again, this is a time, right? One times two and a half. The same thing that was spoken of in verse 6 is the same thing that's spoken of in verse 14. Um, let's see. Under the beast. So Revelation chapter 13, verse 1, it says, And I stood upon the sands of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. Right? Now, this beast, again, is twofold. The same beast that we read the Roman Empire has, the 7 heads and the 10 horns, is the same beast that we're reading of here in Revelation, the 13th chapter. And it says, And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, right? Which was the Grecian Empire. It began with the Grecian Empire. And the feet were as the feet of a bear, and which is the end of it being a Russian. Now, don't get confused and cross-reference the bear with the bear in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, because the bear being the end of the beast, it's not the Persians who will be the end of the beast. Yeah, they're going to be part of the beast, but they're going to be behind Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog is going to be the head that leads them to destroy the place. So it's talking about Russia rather than it talking about Persia, or, so you can understand better, Iran. And again, Russia is, how do I put it? Is they are Edomites, right? So it's fitting that they be part of the beast, but they are not part of the 7 heads and the 10 horns, which is something that I believe a lot of people get confused about. Whenever we talk about the Edomite coalition, the Western coalition, it's always referring to the heads and the horns. It's not referring to like the body or the feet, right? So Russian being Edomites, the beast represents the Edom, and Russia are Edomites, and they are the feet of the bear. They are the end of the empire, but they are not part of the heads and the horns. So the feet represents Russia, not Persia, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion is talking about Great Britain, because this is where the elites call their shots. This is where the ideas and the commands as to what to do with the power that they have, the power and the influence that they have over the world. That's where it comes from. It comes from these wealthy elites, the banking families, and that's where they are. Occasionally you have them coming over to America, but they don't live here. They live in Europe. They live in Britain. And the dragon gave him his power. This is America, right? And in the ancient time, it'll be Rome, because Rome was the enforcer. America is Britain will be like that, the mind, they give the command, and America will enforce the will of the banking families. So the dragon gave him his power and a seat and great authority. So the dragon allows these European nations to rule with him. America allows these European nations to rule with them. And in the ancient days, right, the Rome allowed these other nations, these 7 heads, to be part of that kingdom and great authority. So whenever you talk about the Rome, the Roman Empire, people automatically, the Gauls, the Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Spain, right, Greece, Britannia, those are all part of the Roman Empire. When you talk about Rome, even though Rome is the one that conquered them, they still be part of that empire. It says, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, right? So just like in the ancient time, Rome was the top dog and the face of the um of that, how do I put it? Um how do I put it? Of that joint system. Rome was a face of that joint system. America is the face of that alliance, right? So of today, they are the one who receive the, I guess, the admiration. Hey, who is like America? America is the top nation. America is the greatest nation of all time. America is the land of opportunity. And the Romans boasted likewise. The Romans boasted that they were the greatest. You know, the Romans boasted they were the smartest. They had the strongest military. The same thing. That's why the scripture says that it's the image of the beast, which we'll also get into. He says, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? And they were given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemy, or in other words, the ability to boast, right? So in other words, all the boasting that they make, it's backed up by something. When they talk about America being the greatest nation, it's backed up by them having a powerful military. When they talk about America being the scientifically advanced nations of the world, it's backed up by their inventions and the things that they invent. When they talk about America being the land of opportunity, it's backed up by their economy. So these are all the mouth, right, speaking great things, the ability for them to boast in their boasting. It says, and power was given unto them to continue 40 and 2 months. 40 and 2 months again breaks down to 3.5 years. 3.5 years, it's a significant, signifies 350 years, right? That Babylon was gonna put hell upon us without the truth flourishing. All right. It says, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war against the saint, right? Within that amount of time, that 40 and 2 months, to make war against the saint and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are now written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation. Right. So all those that are destined to be saved are, in a sense, not worshiping the image of the beast. Ain't out here hoping that Babylon lives on. We want this place to be destroyed, put down, so that the kingdom of heaven be established. We hope, right, to be the elect and be delivered out of this place. We wish with all our heart for Yahushua to come and destroy this place. And we are determined to not take the mark of the beast, which is the worshiping of the beast in completion, like in perfected, because you can worship the beast with your admirations and all these things, but once you take the thing, that means you want his kingdom to go on forever, because essentially the MOTB is actually good for his system. Esau's kingdom really can't survive on the way his economy is structured, right? That's why he had to come up with the whole fiat dollar, which is what, like, he had it where the gold, you can't exchange your money for gold because his kingdom can't survive on such limited resources. But if he comes up with that MOTB, now all of a sudden he can just make money out of thin air, and he can just control the how things are and everything. He can have complete control over the monetary system, and his kingdom will indeed grow. So if you take that thing, you're worshiping his kingdom, and you want his kingdom to be established forever and ever, right? But we don't want that. We want his kingdom to go down so the kingdom of heaven be established. It says, whose names are not written. All right, let me just make sure. All right. It says, whose names are not written in the book of life in the foundation. So all those we worship him, those that are in the world, those who won't listen to the truth. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that leadeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience of the fate of the saints. So here's a warning that's going on. All the things that they've done unto us, we will do unto them in righteousness. They made war against us. They put us in subjugation. They put us in the ghettos, in the slum. You know, they made us destitute of knowledge, wisdom, gave us diseases, deliberately pushed drugs. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. They put poisons in the grocery stores that are close to us. They have been doing everything that they can, to destroy our nation. And we will do everything we can to destroy our nation. The only difference is we will prevail. You know, it says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And we have an ear and we hear that. It says, and I beheld another beast come up from the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake like a dragon. A same thing, Babylon, and itself in ancient days is Rome. Two horns just represent the two major parties that he uses to entice the people, which is why it says, but when he opens his mouth to speak, he speaks like a dragon. Okay. So they are very good at feigning themselves to be peaceful and benevolent, right? But in actuality, they are fucking dragons. They're monsters. All right. It says execute he exercises all power of the first beast before him and causes the earth, right? That's how we know that it's Babylon. It's twofold, because it's describing it as though it has been revived from what it had been, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And the first beast was the Roman Empire, and the deadly wound that was healed was it being revived from it falling to the 10 horns, right? It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. This is why Michael is going to have to fight him in the air, because he fights from the air. There's no such thing as meeting a man face to face and killing each other in battle anymore. Nah, nowadays Esau just sends fire from heaven and flies all the way over there and decimates your entire, the entire area. This is part of his wonders, right? He does great wonders so that he makes fire to come down from heaven. That's not the only wonders too. He has achieved great things. I mean, look at the devices that we're using right now. These are all great wonders. When it comes to what do you call it, medical science, he has made some tremendous progress. It's still witchcraft, but he's done some things that he would not be able to do otherwise. This man out here can can reshape your entire appearance. Whatever you want, this man, whatever you can think of, this man can do. These are really great wonders. When the scripture, when the book of Daniel talks about in the last days, the wisdom shall increase. Really, it was increasing Esau, and that's what he uses to do his great wonders. And he deceiveth them that dwell upon the earth by means of those miracles, right? Because he can, boast and say, look, man, we are smart. We're able to do this, that, and the third. So whatever we tell you is truth. We know what we're talking about. They use that same argument when it comes to the book of Genesis, when it comes to how the world was created. We being truthful, right, and being full of the knowledge of Yahweh Shem Shai, we tell you that the world was created, right, by Yahweh Shem Shai. It was created by the angels and the elect, but ultimately the Most High created the world. But this man will come up here and tell you, look, man, we did DNA. We can catch a criminal with DNA and this, that. And we can find out who's who and who's that. Listen, man, this is a miracle that we've done here. So trust me when I tell you that I can use DNA to tell you that, the earth is 4.5 billion years old. Trust me when I tell you I can use DNA to tell you that, we had dinosaurs existing 65 million years ago. He uses these miracles and he deceives people by these means. But we will stand firm in the scriptures. He uses these miracles to tell you that the Amaleks are the children of Israel. They'll tell you that they excavated bodies over there in the Middle East, and the DNA of them matches the DNA of the Amaleks. Well, then whose body did you excavate? Now they don't want to approach it, right? They don't want to deal with that. They want you to take their word for it because of the miracles that they do in the world. They'll come up to you and say, "Yo, why do you believe in God? If you believe in God, why do you have to come to us for us to heal you?" They deceive the whole world, right? Which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wounds, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. So they want everyone to, be godless heathens, right? They want everybody to be like them, to be westernized. They and the modern westernization is simply modeled after the old empire, the old beast that was wounded and now it's revived. Now, if there's ever a country that has a king, Esau will look at you like you weird. You got to model your government, your empire, your kingdom like ours. You got to get rid of a monarchy, man. Set up a president. We have a president. You set up a president or prime minister, whatever you have to do, and set up a democracy like we have. If anyone does anything else, they start laughing at them. If anyone establishes a theocracy in the Arabian countries, they start laughing at him. And then they'll say, "Look, man, you're not as wise as us because the pride. This is the position that the Most High has put him in." So they really do be thinking that they can go around the world and telling people what to do. It says he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and he gives life unto the image of the beast again by the way he structured his kingdom. You know, like the whole idea of a republic is something that began in Rome, or at least was perfected in Rome. It says that the image of the beast should both speak, and it calls that as many as should not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So the beast, being the Roman Empire, had been revived, and they want that same glory that they had back then. So as America, they revived themselves and they want that respect. So as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So how does he force people to worship the image of the beast? Verse 16 says, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, threescore, a score being 20, right, which is 60, and 600, 666. So it says, and the mark, right, which is, there's a lot of controversy, but it's pretty simple. It's a physical thing, right? It's not something that's abstract. It's not sin. Sin has been around for a very, very long time, from the very beginning. And the beast wasn't established then, so how can it be sin? How can it be the beast's mark? Let me see. Right, the word mark being charagma, which means a stamp, an imprinted mark, something that's carved, right? A sculpture. How is a sculpture carved? You have a sharp edge, and you kind of um, puncture it, and you create, grooves and all these things, and eventually you have an image. A graven work, how is a work graven? You have to puncture it. These are all a verb, right? It's a verb, and it means a prick in something, right? That's why even the root word of it, karax, means a pail, right? How do you, prick something? You use a pail. A pail is just a sharp stake or a stake, and pails between which earth stone, trees, and timbers are heaped and packed together. Let me see. Right, it says military mound for circumvallating in a siege. Because what they do is that they will, have some stakes. They'll dig it into the ground and they'll kind of create a barrier around the city that they are besieging. How do they do that? They have to prick it. They have to puncture the ground, with the stake. And I believe even you go into that root word, it talks about grapho, which is information. Even to write something, you have to use a sharp edge to puncture, at least in ancient times. So, and we've made this connection so many times that it's not a coincidence that the chip will have that your information actually in it. So it's gonna be pricked right into you. It's gonna be pricked into you with a sharp, pointy thing, and that sharp, pointy thing will leave an information in you. I mean, yo, this is like the the right word is picked. The Mosai is really being as explicit as he can, but for some reason, I don't understand why people think it's something abstract. This is in that no man might buy or sell, and this is something that Esau developed. When you go into the history of the RFID chip, it tells you that it began in Britain. All right, it's the mark of the beast. The beast is made up of NATO, EU, right? These nations that at first were this. Oh, the nations that at first were this. Let me show you all the images. And then eventually became this. Let me just put uh, and America right there with it. The same area, but now they just stretch across the ocean and they found another land. It's the same beast. This is their system. This is something that they created. The whole idea of money not being a coin is something that they came up with. Something the printing of it's all their system. It all began with Esau Edom, and it's something it's supposed to be unique to them. And so it's not going to be something as sin. You can't enforce sin. It's like think of all the if you a cop and you go out into the street and 300 people just walk out, how are you gonna arrest them all? How are you gonna find out who's sinning and who's not sinning? Like people got to think about these things. How will you keep order? Like stealing is a sin. Now, if you over here, you set up your kingdom, you say, yo, everybody has to steal, or I'm gonna kill your ass. How's your kingdom gonna? How, how does that benefit your kingdom? How does that help? If you're over here forcing people to go kill it, to go commit murder, how is that gonna help your kingdom? And if you set up your kingdom and you're forcing people to partake in the rainbow movement, how are you gonna enforce that? Are you gonna break into everybody's home and demand that a man lay with another man and a woman lay with another woman? Or are you gonna force all the men to change their gender, all the women to change? It's so retarded. Like the whole idea of the mark of the beast being sin. There's so many things wrong with it. Um, so now that we know who the beast is, let's go into the doom of the beast, the destruction of the beast. Let me see. The doom of Babylon. It says, and they came up, right? One of the seven angels, which has seven vials, and talked with me, saying, come hither. I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And so the dragon um, represents the Roman and wait, actually no, the dragon represents this. Let me just show the picture. In ancient times, as this. No, actually no, not the Byzantine Empire. Let me get the. I can't find really a good map, but yeah. So in ancient times, it was this. It's difficult to find a good map, but same thing. And in modern times, it's this. How about that? Let me just. Oh man, click, open image, and new tab. There it is. Okay, so the great hall that sitteth upon initially, I believe in verse 16. Let me see. Okay, all right, it's gonna explain. So it says, and they came up one of the seven, and they came up, and they came, Slakia, one of the seven angels which had seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore which sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So this um, whore is introduced, and what she's doing is that she is committing a fornication, and she has caused these other nations to be drunk off of fornication. So the fornication just simply means the things that she does, and she has caused these nations to partake in what it is that she's doing. It says, so he carried me away into the spirit, and it represents Babylon, but we're gonna get into it. It says, so I mean America. I don't. And so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names and blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Same beast that we saw, which is twofold. But in this context, we're going to figure out if it's talking about the ancient beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, or if it's talking about modern times with 7 heads and 10 horns. So he carried me away into the spirit, into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. Now she being arrayed in purple and scarlet, it almost sounds as though she is um, set up to be good, to live lavishly, to live a good lifestyle. And this is something that America does. America is, as the leading nation in the world, they live a luxurious life. I mean, the American people live a luxurious life. The poorest person in America is far, far better than the poorest person in other parts of the world, you know? So it says, having a golden cup in her hand full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. And her abomination and filthiness, it represents all her transgressions, right? Simple and short. It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. Now, what does this remind us of? Of the previous verse, the same horn or the beast. Oh, let me see. Oh, 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 oh. I'll find that right now. Right. So this woman sounds awful lot like the dragon, right? And I saw one of his heads it was wounded, or so like it, and he worshipped the dragon, right? So the beast, just like how it's allowing the harlot to dominate it, is the same way that the beast allowed the dragon, right, to do whatever it is, to uh, dominate him. And they worshiped the dragon and gave their and which gave power to the beast. So America, right, giving power to the beast. America was the enforcer. They do things on behalf of Europe. When the Germans were doing all the conquering in Europe, it was America who put a stop to that. When Russia set up the USSR, it was America who created the NATO and was a guard unto them and told Russia, if you invade any of these nations, you will, you would have to deal with our wrath. So it's the dragon that's given power to the beast. And they worship the beast, right? Saying who is like unto the beast, who's able to make war with him. And so the beast here is the dragon, right? Don't get it confused. So the dragon, that dragon is a beast, but the beast worship the dragon, and the dragon is the beast that the beast worships. Okay, so it's just um, so he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God and blasphemed his name, and it says, and they were given unto him power to make war against the saint and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. It sounds exactly like the harlot. I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushai. And when I saw her, I wondered in great admiration. It's talking about Babylon. Babylon is ancient Rome. America is like ancient Rome. Of all the coalition in ancient time, Rome was a powerhouse. Uh, let me just do. There we go. Right. So the Roman Empire consisted of all these nations, but Rome was like the top dog of all these people. They were the powerhouse. They had all these nations grafted into it, but let me see. We got some. They had all these nations within it, right, including its allies, right, the Gauls and Spain and Greece. So you see over here Macedonia, right, and this is the areas that the I guess Carthage will be the area that these people eventually, right, the Vandals get to conquer. So, all these nations in it, these existed, but it was still known as the Roman Empire. And just like that, so they gave their power onto the dragon, and the dragon is America, and America is also the women. And it's all characteristics. It's what does like what is being said about it and what has been said about someone else. And if you can, find a connection, then you simply say, well, then it's the same person, the same people, you know. So she was drunken with the blood of the saints, just like the dragon did, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua, just like the dragon did, right? The Romans, when they killed the apostles, right? And all those that believe in Yahushua, they were all martyrs. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, wherefore did thou marvel? Because, yo, you just gonna let this guy do whatever he wants? And I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, right? Which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. And the beast that thou sawest was and is not. So when John was receiving this image, the beast was, right? It was the Roman Empire and existed as the Roman Empire, and it's not. But it was not the empire that was to be destroyed by Yahushai and and bringing in the kingdom. So that was not, and because it's not that kingdom. It says, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. So in a sense, it will, after it is what it is, it will go down into a pit, but it shall be brought up, right? And shall go into destruction. That's what perdition mean. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, right? Because it was when John received the vision, and it's not, because it's not the kingdom that's to be destroyed, and yet is, and yet to be. And this is the time that we're living in, a time where it's no longer yet to be, but is. You know, here's the wisdom, and here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains which the woman sitteth, and we broke that down. The same 7 heads are the same 7 mountains. In John's time, it was the Gauls, the Spain, it was Greece, it was Germania Major, Germania Minor. It was it was it let me get it right now. Let me just get count it properly. Whoops. All right. Yeah. So and then so with Rome itself, it had Spain, it had Greece, right? Macedonian Greece. It had the Gauls, Germania Major, Germania Minor, and Britannia, right? So with Rome itself will be 7. And the 7 heads are 7 mountains which the woman sitteth. So she's part of the mountain, but she's sort of like on top of the mountain, you know. It says, and there are 5 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is yet to come. And when he cometh, he must have continued for a short space. So the nations that I mentioned have fallen, and it was the only way they had to fall for the Roman to be established as the Roman Empire. So when the Roman came to power, they destroyed, well, not destroyed, but they defeated these 5. They defeated the Gauls, they defeated the area of Germania Major, Germania Minor, Greece. They defeated, they controlled Spain, but the one that is not yet come, right, and one is. So the 5 that are fallen is what I mentioned. The one that is Rome. It's the one that's ruling right now, and the other is not yet to come, which is Britannia. All right, right. This portion right here, and when it comes, oh, it says he must continue a short space, and the beast that was is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. So the 7th beast is Britannia. He is of the 7th. Wait, let me slow down. The the beast that was and is not, as the Roman Empire was, but it's not the empire that was to be destroyed yet, right? It says even he is the 8th. So even though as Rome, Esau as Rome was part of the 7th, he is the 8th, right? Kingdom that's to become that's to come on later on. But he came out of the 7th empire, which is Britannia, with the one which is not yet. And after that, it will go into perdition. It will go into destruction. Perdition means destroying or destruction. I just have to confirm that. This is in the 10 kings, in the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So as when the Esau as Rome was existed, these 10 kings were not in power yet, right? Um, Again, I think I don't know if I mentioned this, but whenever you look at these um, kingdoms like the Franks or the Visigoths and Ostrogoths, you'll find out that they change their location because these are the small kingdoms that fought for territory when the Roman Empire died, right? So you would have their dominion shift from position to position, so you would have the um, I showed you in one photo where the Ostrogoths had Rome, right? They had Italy, the whole of Italy, the Italian peninsula, and but now all of a sudden they don't have it. You know, you have the Visigoths have this whole area, and all of a sudden they're pushed down here. You'll have the Anglo-Saxons in this area, but then they will migrate just like it shows you into this spot. So don't get caught up in the map and who's where, and I'm confused and all these things. Just keep in mind that these 10 nations, right? The Anglo-Saxons, the Franks, the Suevi, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, the Alemanni, the Ostrogoths, the Vandals, the Lombards, and the Herulis. Though these are the 10 people who ultimately were just dominating the region. They may lose a region, but they'll gain. But they were just like the main players in that area. Just as simple as that, they were the main players in that area. So, but shall receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast, right? These have one mind and shall give their power and strength into the beast. And after a while, right, they are in the modern times, these are the ones that came together and formed the European nation. And even in that time, right? So in ancient time, they eventually put their differences aside, and after years of fighting amongst each other, they came together, right? As the um um I don't as Europe, let me just put it that way before I start saying more than I'm supposed to. And even in today, they have one mind and they come together and they give their strength onto the beast, which is the dragon, right? Um, Let me see. And these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called the chosen and faithful. So these Esau and his entire coalition, well, or at least the remnants of Esau, because Babylon it's an Edomite nation, but they will be destroyed. But the remnants of Esau, the rest of the beast will come up and try to fight against Yahushai, but Yahushai will overcome them. You know, it's going to be a beatdown. Hey, the book of Ezra tells us that it was such a thorough defeat that just nothing was to be perceived of the armies. He destroyed the armies. For he is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called chosen and faithful. And when Yahushua comes in and destroy Esau, Edom, in one day, the next day, actually that very day, the kingdom of heaven is established. Like like right after, there's not going to be a period where, a dark age period where no one knows what's going on, and you're not going to have Yahushua come up with his chariot and leave and have us do a running around and come back like 100 years later. Nah, that's not how the kingdom of heaven is going to be like. It's not going to be like how Babylon came over here. They had to fight. They had 13 colonies and they had to do this. And now, they had to win the independence. That's not how the kingdom of heaven is going to be. It's going to be like right after that. Then boom. Then the nation of Israel are gathered throughout the four corners of the world, were placed in the land. Now what? You know, it's going to be beautiful. Can't wait for that day. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitude, and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and shall burn her with fire. So now the beast is where it's referring to the beast in modern times. And in modern times, America, which is the whore, right? Which is also the dragon that the beast worship and you know reverence. In times past, they're gonna hate America, and they are going to partake in the destruction of America, pursuant to the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, where it talks about Gog and Magog. The Most High prepares Gog and Magog in the last days, and he says that while he shall bring him, be thou prepared, prepare for thyself, thou and all thy companies that are assembled unto thee. And Yahweh Shemashah will assemble a lot of nations unto Russia. I had posted a video recently, or at least a video before this video, and a lot of these nations are cutting diplomatic ties with Amalek, and it's only going to be a matter of time until they cut the diplomatic ties. And well, America's a strong nation, and these nations will kind of try to be careful. But when Russia starts to gain momentum, and they see as though Russia is, you know, getting ready to take America down, these nations will side with Russia. America is hated right now, especially for what's going on in Palestine. The hatred that they have for Amalek is it's exactly the kind of hatred that they have for America right now. And when the time come, you better believe that the Habash Messiah has a lot of company assembled. As a matter of fact, it says it right here. The verse before says, "And many people with thee." There's going to be a lot of. It's going to be America versus the rest of the world. It's going to be America and the Israelis versus the rest of the world. That's it. You know. And let's see. Let me see right now. All right, I wanted to get into the. It says, "These shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate, right, and naked." And how they and right now they're even making America desolate. France just came up and left the NATO. They exited out of NATO, and they put in the application to join the BRICS. Because they are they are exposing the wickedness of Babylon. They're exposing the what you call it. What's the word? The hypocrisy of Babylon. These are the many ways that they make America naked. But in time, they will make it desolate by shooting missiles into America, and America is going to be a desolate wilderness, and shall eat her flesh. It shall consume her. Hey, that's the same thing that is said with let me see. It said the beast shall devour the saints. No, I saw it around here somewhere. So it's a parabolic. I don't know how do I put it. It's a figurative way of saying defeat. All right. Um, I'm not gonna. Oh, oh, oh. No, went too far. Yeah, I'm not gonna chase this around. But it's in there. I know I read it, so um but eat her flesh, in other words, devour her. And it's the same thing that the scripture talks about the dragon doing to the nation of Israel. So for God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, unto the word of God be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth, and that is America. America is that great city. The word city is just a fancy way of saying a nation. All right. And what nation rule? What's the leading nation in the world right now? What's the most powerful nation in the world right now? It's America. America is Babylon. America is that scarlet. America is that dragon. America is the kingdom that Yahweh Shai is going to have to put down. It's going to have to overthrow and set up the. America is the one that has, I guess, done whatever they have to done to the Israelites. But after 350 years, the truth came out, and America's been going down ever since. So it's very, the prophecy is very, very thorough, and it's actually very satisfying when the Spirit is dealing with you to understand these things. But for all those whom the Spirit of the Lord is not with and are left confused, hey, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know how horrible it must feel, man, because this thing brings us peace. The Most High was he was very meticulous in explaining the what's going to happen in the latter times, and we are grateful for how he has comforted us, with the the scriptures. All right. So, with that, I hope this was edifying to the brothers that are watching on Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shai, Barakatham. To the few outcomes to listen in truth and sincerity, I also want to say Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shai, Barakatham. And may the blessing of blessing be upon our house. May Yahweh Shem Shai. Hey, as a matter of fact, let me just end it here with Psalms 80th chapter, right? Love the scripture. All right. This is Psalm chapter 80, verse 14. It says, Return, we beseech thee, O God of hosts, look down from heaven, and behold, and visit this vine. This vine talking about Israel, and the vine which thy right hand has planted, and the branch which thou madest strong for thyself. Right? When he established the nation of Israel in the wilderness, it says, It is burned with fire, we are destroyed. It is cut down. They perish at the rebuke of thy countenance. And right now we are being rebuked by Habashim because we went off. We didn't keep our promise. We belittled the covenant that we made with Yahweh Shai. We were made fully aware of the consequences of us breaking our oath, and we did it anyway. And we thought that Yahweh Shai wasn't going to do anything. And we as a nation ignore all his warnings. And now look at our situations right now. We are burnt with fire, we are cut down, we perish at the rebuke of the countenance of Yahweh Shai. Verse 17, it says, Let thy hand be upon the man of thy right hand. Let thine hand be upon the man of thy right hand. Who's he talking about? Yahweh Shai. Upon the Son of Man, whom thou madest strong for thyself. Right? Yahweh Shai is the expression of the strength of Yahweh Shai. He is the manifestation of the strength of Yahweh Shai. We will know the glory of Yahweh because of what Yahweh Shai will do. We will know the wisdom of Yahweh because of Yahweh Shai. We will know the glory of Yahweh because of the visage of Yahweh Shai. It says, So will not we go back from thee, quicken us, and we will call upon thy name. And we, being quickened and being able to call upon the name of Yahweh Shai, will be when he established us in the kingdom of heaven. It says, Turn us again, O God, O Lord, Yahweh God of hosts, cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. So with that, I'm going to end it right there. Shalom. Yahweh Shai, Brakatham to all the Akims and Akos that are watching. And yeah, until next time, I'm going to end it right there. Shalom.